This week, Emmet and I resume following Cap and Falcon's search for the Mad Bomb in the very intense issues 195 through 197 of Captain America and the Falcon from 1976, written and penciled by Jack Kirby. Can our heroes stop domestic terrorists from ruining the Bicentennial celebrations? We hope you'll spread the word about Deconstructing Comics. Tell your friends about us, share episodes on social media, and also send us suggestions for topics we could cover. Email us at mail@deconstructingcomics.com. This is Tim.
This is Emmet.
And this is Deconstructing Comics. Welcome to Deconstructing Comics. This is Tim in Tokyo, Emmet in Country Victoria, Australia.
It pains you so much each time.
Well, I don't know. I think part of it is just, I don't know. I've as I get older, I have trouble remembering names.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes even regular words. I was racking my brain this morning for the word exposition. It was like, that's what it is. So, I mean, on Law of Equivalent Exchange, the Fullmetal Alchemist podcast I'm in, I'm always editing out spaces between, I say, and then character name, and then I think of it, and I'm always editing out the spaces so I don't sound like an old man, but I'm always struggling to remember character names.
It comes for us all.
Yeah. So, and for some reason, Country Victoria is another one that I always like to have to pause before and, kind of, it slots into place and then I can say it, but...
Okay. I might have to come up with a new descriptor for you that's a little easier. But yes, I live in the countryside in the state of Victoria. Country Victoria does that.
Well, I could just say Victoria.
You could.
Yeah. And Australia, I'm not going to have trouble remembering that. That's
Australia is pretty simple to remember.
Continents, names of continents and countries are probably hardwired in. Anyway.
Yeah.
So we're continuing Jack Kirby's work on Captain America and the Falcon, aiming to talk about 3 issues this time, 195 through 197, which wraps up kind of a story arc. Although there are definitely loose ends dangling at the end, but this part of the story is done. And this is a really intense 3 issues.
Yeah. And as we've been picking up from Kirby, hyper literate as well. Lots of allusion. I mean, it's literally called. On the cover of this issue, there's literally the tagline: "It can happen here, the savage world of 1984," which is 2 references for the price of 1. Because you've got 1984, and you've also "It Couldn't Happen Here," I think it was called.
Can't happen here.
Yeah, but then you've also got some more Ayn Rand stuff in the course of these issues, because you've got all the Atlas Shrugged stuff with the secret society living in a mountain, which is the most overt reference to Rand, with the possible exception of a certain haircut in Commandy. So he's laying it all out for us.
These issues kind of made me realize something that I hadn't really considered before. The Falcon is not a sidekick. He's an equal partner. Of course, Cap is the marquee character because he has a much longer history, especially from this point of view, because it's 1976. Cap's been around since 1940, and Falcon only first appeared in 1969. But, we can see in these 3 issues, Falcon saves Cap's bacon more than once, and also gives Cap a pep talk at one point, which, you wouldn't expect to see Robin giving Batman a pep talk. Also, a black sidekick for a white hero would be pretty racially fraught. So they pretty much have to be equal partners, and they definitely are.
Yeah, Kirby's leaning into that. He's leaning into that tension. We had that exchange in the last issue. He's absolutely exploring that.
Right, yeah. We could see the 2 characters have different points of view based on their backgrounds. And that's really interesting. And obviously it wasn't Kirby's idea to put them together. I looked it up. So the book had been called Captain America and the Falcon for 5 years already before Kirby took over. But yeah, he's definitely taking advantage of the situation.
Just for the notes for the episode as well. The other reference, "It Can't Happen Here." It Can Happen Here in the tagline. The book's called "It Can't Happen Here." That's the Sinclair Lewis 1935 novel.
Okay.
So I think that's what it's been flagged here. And again, it's a sort of American piece of fiction anticipating the rise of fascism.
Okay.
In 1935. So that's I think Kirby again is making that direct allusion.
Also the title of a song from the Mothers of Invention's first album. But anyway, that's...
And Pet Shop Boys, apparently.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That one I'm not aware of.
I thought you were about to say Pet Shop Boys. Oh, Tim, wow. Yeah, but Mother of Invention, also cool. I was just listening to a podcast where they're reviewing that Jack Frost movie, that terrible snowman movie. And Weasel Zappa apparently is in it, which I was like, oh, come on. Weasel!
Something else that I realized from reading some of the Wikipedia page on the Falcon, where is Red Wing? Falcon in some stories, I don't think they've ever done it in the MCU, but Falcon started out
in
with...
In the MCU, Red Wing is a drone.
Oh, that's right. They do have a drone version in some of his appearances. But yeah, where is the Falcon's Falcon here?
He's on the cover. He's on the cover, and his character ID there. He's got him on his arm.
Oh yeah, up in the right upper right corner by the Comics Code stamp.
But he's not featured in the story. No point taking Red Wing into an underground bunker, I suppose.
Yeah, probably not. It would have been kind of awkward having him in the story. Well, the people in the underground bunker probably would have fried Red Wing for lunch, so it's better not to have him there. All right, so the cover... Captain America and the Falcon against a bunch of people with like metal bars, and some of them are throwing the bars at them, and there's a gallows in the background. Yeah, and you mentioned the tagline, "It Can Happen Here, the Savage World of 1984." And I'm just noticing just next to that, on the hand of one of the people, there's a 160. I don't know what that number is doing there. It looks like a page number.
Oh, is that your... Okay, let's have a look. Whereabouts is it?
Oh, I know why. It's because it's page 160 of this collection. That's what it's doing there.
Oh, I see what's happening.
For some reason, put a page number on a cover here, but...
That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, the other pages don't even have page numbers.
I am not seeing that in my version.
I don't know why they put a page number on the cover, but anyway. Right, so when we left them... Cap and the Falcon had been locked up in this holding cell with the people who had been turned into like monsters just to be, weak-minded and have strong physical characteristics so they could do the work without questioning it.
Yeah, it's explicit that what this elite society are doing is they're reintroducing slavery to modern America, and they're generating a slave race. That's what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
So that's what's happened to these people. They've been transformed into intellectually subservient, physically very strong manual laborers for this future society that this elite want to bring about in the Bicentennial.
Right. And Cap and the Falcon have just changed into costume in the back of the cell, hiding behind the other folks in there, and now they break out of it. It's metal and wood, and they're breaking through, looks like with the help of some of the laborers. And the pieces of wood are flying out, and the Conehead soldiers on the other side are being knocked over both by Wood and by Falcon zooming out of there, flying out. And, of course, Cap's got his shield to knock down some of the Wood. And, as always with the Kirby of this era, it's pages 2 and 3, a big spread.
There are a couple of panels in this issue that I would love just to have printed and framed, because they're just powerful. Mm-hmm. But this is a great, I know, another great, as you say, another great Kirby splash page.
Yeah, and so they fight the Coneheads a bit, and then they go look in on, they know that the people there are doing surgery on these captured Americans or whoever else they can find, and turning them into this less intelligent slave race. And Captain America and Falcon break into the surgery room, and the quote-unquote doctors have just finished operating on this guy. He's received a full course of stimulating shocks to his glands. They will activate with wild effect. As you can see, he's beginning to change rapidly, and his features changed more like a caveman with big brow and big bushy eyebrows.
It's absolutely the sort of cinematic transformation of Cheney Jr. into the Wolfman, like that's or even more appropriately Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where you have those transitions, the cinematic transitions, and it's the bushy eyebrows and the thickened mane. That's the cinematic language that we're familiar with here. Yes, he's transformed into this Neanderthal-like creature. Again, very similar to a plotline from the OMAC storyline as well. And also there was one in Commandy, which had a very similar... So yeah, these people have been turned into beasts for the sake of some sort of elite overseer. He's coming back to this a couple of times.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we keep saying it over and over, but these 3 issues, I also, again, really felt like this is all just Kirby's war experience with a superhero costume on. And, these people just substituting for the Nazis. It's very obvious.
Well, I mean, they are Nazis in that they are fascists. Mm-hmm. So we use that term quite broadly. But also, I mean, I see a lot of points of reference between this and the business plot, which I think we've talked about before. But that's American fascism. That's, American fascism that was very close to succeeding. And it just happened to collapse because they involved a military man who didn't go all the way. And that's what American democracy is basically fragilely connected to. They made a movie of this a year ago. I think it was called Amsterdam, with Margot Robbie and Christian Bale. A terrible, terrible movie because it more or less ends with the conclusion that the power of love saved American democracy from the rise of fascism, which is total crap. So yeah, I'm very insulted that the movie exists because it's such a fascinating story. It's and this is the kind of space that Sinclair Lewis is writing as well. So Kirby is sort of raising these issues. These are Americans. I just think that that's important to state. These are Americans. They're not like German Oberfuhrers or whatever like that. They are like actual Americans. And this character who you meet here, I'll let you introduce her, but she sort of is symbolic of the younger generation coming up that, maybe looks hip, can speak the lingo, but is through and through blue blood fascist, just rich, entitled, expects to be handed the world on a plate. And will literally go, Daddy, when things don't go her way. Daddy.
Yeah. Or in this case,
a baby daddy.
In this case, Papa. Is Cheer Chadwick, the daughter of one of the elites. Who happens to come right into the surgery room.
But I just wanted to make that point because I think a lesser writer would have made this like a Red Skull plot. Now, I'm going to have egg in my face if it turns out this actually is the Red Skull. But I mean, I can also imagine if that is what happens, there's some sort of editorial fiat at work there. But a lesser writer would make this it's the secret space Nazis who went up to the moon and came back down or something like that. The groundwork that's been laid here is these are Americans. They are Americans that have been here the entire time. They are resentful of the revolutionary ethos. That's the whole point of launching this during the Bicentennial. They are just off the boat from the old country Americans. So, just wanted to... Mayflower, that's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
Mayflower descended fascists. I think it's important to frame that.
So she protects Cap and Falcon from the Conehead soldiers. She says, we're the elites and you have to listen to us and you got to leave these guys alone. And she actually whaps one of the soldiers on the side of the head. And as far as Falcon and Cap are concerned, she's saving them. And it seems like it takes them quite a while to realize what's really going on here. What her intentions are.
Yeah, I was hoping that this was them being a bit pragmatic in terms of, okay, let's just get out of this situation right now. But you may be right. They may have been weirdly duped here because she's so clearly dodgy. But again, that goes to my point. Like, she presents as this pleasant young woman. She's dressed in what we would now recognize as fashions of the time, of the period, sort of hippie light fashions.
Yeah.
So it's that sort of pleasant face that fascism gives. We are within a couple of years of major periodicals in the States giving full press interviews to actual fascists because they look nice in a suit. Literally what happened. So I can see this being that way, that they're just being sort of a bit naive, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
I for the benefit of the listener, I am trying to discuss contemporary fascism in relation to comic book with Tim while my cat insists on occupying my lap, which is proving difficult to do all these things at once, but I persevere.
Yeah, well, there have been, not right now, but a number of points so far where I could see the cat better than I could see Emmet through Skype here.
Oh, dear. Okay.
So she leads Cap and Falcon to an elevator, and we learn that this underground bunker has a number of layers, and they're arranged as like strata of society, with the elites at the top and the labor force at the bottom and other levels in between. They're labeled in the elevator. The labor force is in the basement. First floor, military tactical troops. 2, repair and maintenance force. 3, white collar force. So it's really laid out for us there.
It's a social stratum. That's their vision of the society.
See, they stop at level 5, and they're...
Sorry, again, I just want to... Your point before about Falcon's sort of personality and how his dynamic with Captain America. I do love this little exchange where she's talking about how she's going to take them to where her surprise is, and Cap's like, fine, that's what we came here to see. The surprise. And that's in heavily bold font. And then Falcon's like, I hope it's the right one. That's sort of attitude of, Cap, what are we doing?
Yeah, and then the next panel we see Cap's thought balloon. He's thinking about the Big Daddy Mad Bomb. That's what they're there to find. At some point, they mention it out loud, and Cheer can hear them talk about it. But I guess that hasn't happened yet at this point. Mm. So, but they see her surprised, but we don't see it yet. We're interrupted by another scene here, where we see the military flying over the Badlands above this underground bunker, looking for Cap and Falcon, and they, of course, can't find them. And there's a general whose name is Argyle Fist.
Amazing.
And so there we get a couple pages of Fist's troops trying to find Cap and Falcon, and they've got this contraption called the Hound Dog. It's a pretty small craft that it can, like, it sends echo images to find what's below the ground. And so it's kind of bouncing around on the surface there, looking underneath to see if there's a opening there, if something's underneath them.
It looks like a Greek warrior's helmet, like a Hiplot's helmet or American football helmet. Like it looks like a helm.
You know what it reminds me of? Boba Fett's ship.
Oh, Slave, the unfortunately named Slave One. Yes. So,
Right.
Question for the peanut gallery and everyone else listening. Why the hell is Boba Fett's ship called Slave One? What's that about? Like, why?
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, we've never seen him taking slaves.
I hope not.
The ship is his slave? Is there a slave too?
That's nasty. Is Boba Fett Prince? You know, that would be cool. That's what it was.
And then he used an unpronounceable symbol for his name.
Yeah, he was in contract negotiations with his employers broke down. So he called his ship
the
Slave
merc
One.
formerly known as Boba Fett.
Oh, dear. Purple rain in space. Yeah. No, but that's sorry. That's one for the Star Wars people out there. Explain that to me, please. Carry on, Tim.
Okay, so the Hound Dog, and the Elvis song keeps popping into my head, is looking underground, and then we go back, and her surprise, quote unquote, is to watch a brainwashing session. This was like the most chilling scene in these 3 issues, I think. You see all these... First, we just see the people. We don't see what they're looking at yet. And they're saying, freedom is a lie, a lie. Little people can't run a big world. The elite can run the world. They can take care of us. They can help us, guide us, tell us what to do. Tell us. So they're really being brainwashed into being subservient, and none of this freedom nonsense. You want to be under the elite, and the elite will help you. Then we turn the page, and we see that they're looking at this big TV screen, and there's a man's face talking to them, backed with kind of an American flag, except the field of stars is replaced with a picture of a gallows.
Yeah. They're going to execute the traitors to the true spirit of the nation.
Right. And the people who like freedom are being called freedom freaks, just demonized. As, freedom is bad. We don't want freedom. If you want freedom, you're a freedom freak. And we even see a gallows with a dummy hanging from it labeled freedom freak. And these people are all brainwashed into being against freedom, and we see the big steel bars that were seen on the cover. Yeah, we have always been at war with Eurasia. This is the most explicit reference to 1984, up to and including the reveal that the face on the screen is just a composite face. There is no actual Big Brother. It's just in other words, AI. It's a symbol. Yeah. In effect. And I think this is where I had a thought while I was reading this, that we talk about Kirby being prophetic a lot, I've noticed. Like we talk about him anticipating things. We talk about him, oh my goodness, look what is coming. And I just wanted to, again, make the aside that this isn't just looking forward. The best science fiction always looks backward. And I think what this is doing as well is depicting things that have happened. Sure. Showing things have gone. And that's inclusive of Orwell as well with 1984. Like, famously, he wanted it to be called 1948. Like, he wanted, the idea was it's happened already, and they asked him to project further into the distant future, and he came up with 1984. The suggestion with science fiction
is the prophetic piece of writing. Is it's some faraway, distant future that we can avoid. Whereas I think this creator's perspective, Kirby's, and the work he's cited, Orwell, Sinclair Lewis, they're talking about things that are happening, are always happening, are always on the cusp of happening. This isn't something that we are safe to maybe get our ducks in a row to stop happening. This is something we need to stop right now. And that's I feel just an important, again, note, because science fiction, when it's discussed in this way, this sort of, how clever, how prophetic it is, how it's so good that this person could anticipate these events occurring and give us some fair warning. There's this safety there, and we're not safe. That's the problem.
I mean, I couldn't read the scene without thinking about what's been happening in the States in the past few years.
Of course.
And so, yeah, I mean, this can apply any place at any time.
Exactly. It is a story that is a very old story, let's say, but it keeps finding new ways to shock us. And I just want to say, like, be shocked. Like, that's important. It's important to maybe see those resonances, but just be aware that it keeps coming. And I think Cap even has a line here where he talks about the ghost of Nazism. Like, he's got that idea of, why does it keep coming back? Because it never goes away. That's the thing. Because we never actually confront the reasons for it in the first place. It's always just contained. So that's it's just important to make that. We're not safe.
So the people rip the Freedom Freak dummy apart, and the AI says it's wonderful and glorious. And so, yeah, this is when Cap brings up the mad bomb to Cheer Chadwick, and she acts like she doesn't really care about it. Why should that concern me? Papa says the elite must think of its own welfare. All others are just rabble. So, okay, then apparently Cap, somebody is speaking off panel. I assume it's Cap. We can't believe that you're as selfish and ruthless as your papa. After all, you did come to our aid, didn't you? And yeah, so he's still thinking, there's something good in her, that she rescued them. And when we turn the page, we find out what her actual motivation was. So a very large woman in a green and gold costume comes in and knocks over Cap and Falcon and says, so these are the new rookies. And Cheer says, don't damage them. You'll ruin their value. So, value? Yeah, she wasn't being altruistic when she saved them.
No, she was buttering them up. And this is our introduction to Tinkerbell.
Yes.
And I don't know if we've ever seen her again. And this feels like a potential retread of Big Barda. In terms of, a woman enforcer for a fascist society who knows where the story is going, but Big Barda had a change of heart. So I would have been interested to see if Tinkerbell appeared elsewhere, because there's a guts of a very interesting story here.
Yeah,
she's a black woman as well, which again, it's like, that's so loaded, particularly with the presence of the Falcon in this storyline and the racial dynamics this comic's been exploring. The fact that she has a certain position within this fascist society, but it's clear because she's useful to them. And then, like, how does she feel about that? So she's sort of maintaining her spot in the pecking order by sacrificing everything that makes her who she is to become this instrument of this society. And that's a tragic story. I don't know where this is going, but I'm already I'm locked in on Tinkerbell.
Yeah, I don't recall ever seeing her in anything else before, so she may have disappeared as a character after Kirby's run on this.
Yeah.
So, of course, since she's a woman, Cap would rather talk things out with her, but she's not up for that at all. She blinds Cap with some mirrors on her glove and then punches him. Falcon tries to take her on, and she pulls off her helmet and knocks him in the head. That's when we see that she's black. We can't see her face before that. So then, as they're both knocked out, drink.
Nope. Coffee.
Cheer and Tinkerbell are talking, and we find out that Cheer brought them to fight in this kill derby that they have on the 5th level. And Tinkerbell's like, these guys are too weak. They're not killers. They'll never make the team. They'll never survive. And Cheer thinks that, she's seen them fight when they broke out of the cell. She thinks that they would be good in the kill derby. And so since Tinkerbell never questions the elite, she said, okay, I never disobey the elite, so I'll take them, but they're not going to last very long.
Are we to understand that this closed-off fascist society that lives in a mountain is so cut off from the rest of the world that they don't know who Captain America is?
Seems unlikely, yes.
Right? Because some people do know who he is, but this attitude of, oh no, he's too weak. Because the other contenders we'll see in the kill derby, I mean, they're people in armored suits. Whereas Cap actually has lots of enhanced abilities because of the procedure he went through.
Yep.
And the Falcon also has certain enhanced abilities. And I just kind of look at that and go, is this a story beat that they're disconnected? Or is it that Kirby is just trying to introduce this conflict, this moment of conflict between Tinkerbell and her superior, and this is the outcome? I don't know. It just felt off to me a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they've been just ensconced in this underground bunker for decades. I mean, it seems like they're not paying that much attention to what's in the outside world, but I don't think they've been there long enough that they wouldn't have known of Cap's return, from being frozen in ice.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not so much, maybe I'm being too literal. Maybe it's not so much that she's saying they're physically weak. Maybe she's saying they don't have the urge to kill. That's what makes them weak.
Yeah.
They're not actual killers.
Right.
They have morals, they have ethics. They'll be useless in the ring because they'll try to actually fight the oppressor and not give an entertainment in killing their fellow man. That's what I think. That maybe. Okay, sorry, I've talked myself.
Yeah,
around.
I think that's her reasoning. So when they're gone, then Cheer calls her Papa and says,
Papa?
I heard them clearly. These two masked men asked me about the mad bomb. And her dad says, it doesn't matter. These agents will soon be ... dead. And we get a couple panels of her dad, but we can't see his face. We just see like his hand and the top of his head. And it doesn't appear to be the Red Skull. So I think you're safe.
Well, no, he's one of the conspirators.
Right.
So it still could be the Red Skull at the top of the pyramid.
Well, I suppose so. There could be a hidden man beyond the hidden man.
This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm dreading it. I'm really hoping it's Nixon. I'm really hoping it's Nixon. Come on. Oh, Marvel will disappoint me.
How grim can things get for world peace and harmony? Don't miss the next issue. It's your ticket to the Kill Derby.
How grim can things get for the world peace and harmony? Oh, Jack. Pretty bloody grim.
Yes. So,
gallows humor.
Coming up, we move on to issues 196 and 197 as Cap and Falcon participate in the Kill Derby to retrieve Cap's stolen shield. But first, be sure to join us for 20th Century TV and music trivia quiz videos and more on our Patreon page. Patrons donating $4 a month or more get access to hours of additional podcasts. Get all the info at patreon.com/deconcomics.
Do you like comics? The 1960s? How about middle-aged gay couples gossiping about their neighbors? Then you'll love Checkered Past, a loving examination of DC's Go-Go Check branded comic magazines published from February 1966 to August 1967.
I'm Dr. Bob.
And I'm Dr. Husband.
And each week we'll be your hosts on a trippy tour through mid-century four-color madness.
Checkered Past.
Available wherever fine podcasts are downloaded for free.
So, issue 196, the rules, anything goes, the stakes, Cap's captured shield, the game, Kill Derby, and Cap is on a skateboard along with some of the other people in the Kill Derby on skateboards. Falcon is flying, and we see some people in the background cheering, and someone off panel, just their hand, shooting a gun directly at Cap, so he should be dead, but it's just a cover image. So,
when did you say these were published?
This is 1976.
Okay, so this is
cover
after
date is April 76, so probably produced in 75.
So this is after Rollerball comes out.
Okay.
Which is the dystopian film with James Caan, where they're competing in these death sports on roller skates.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering if there was something else that was maybe in Jack's frame of mind.
Yeah, probably. Maybe that's where the skateboards came from. I mean, this is not yet the era of the 80s skateboarding craze. And I don't think I don't think I knew any kids playing with skateboards in the 70s, but
yeah, but he like surfer culture was out and about, and like he's clearly interested in that form of motion, because you've got the surfer, you've got the black rider, you've got Light Ray, you've got all these characters that are on some variation of a board or skis, or like, so he keeps coming back to this idea of a person going at speed using a device. So I can see this part of this sort of thread of Kirby's.
Yeah. So we open. A couple of soldiers are trying to grab Cap, and he's smashing one of them with his shield. And so the other one says, "Who entered this madman in the derby? He won't obey the rules." And then a bunch of other soldiers come in. Now, these are not the Coneheads. These are different. And I couldn't help noticing the purple costumes. And I mean, Kirby's not the colorist. It's Janice Cohen. But I don't know if he's telling her what colors to use. But it just seems like again and again we see Kirby, like troops or whatever, in these purple costumes. It happened before in the DC work. And, of course, it always reminds me of Machine Man, who's coming up later. It seemed like he liked those purple costumes.
It's an easy secondary color. Secondary colors are for villains. Trope. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, so they're trying to get Cap to participate in the Kill Derby, and he refuses. So he's gassed, and one of them takes his shield, and he's thrown into a cell where Falcon is already lying on the floor, and he'd also been gassed. And they wake up, and they're thinking, we got to figure out about what happened to the mad bomb. Where is it? And we get some exposition. This is why I was trying to remember that word, about what happened in the earlier two issues that we talked about a few weeks ago.
It's pretty unnatural dialogue.
Yeah. You remember what a small one did in New York. It drove the people mad until they wrecked their own district. The bad bomb we're hunting now is the size of an ICBM. If it goes off on the day of this country's bicentennial, as we suspect, it'll destroy the United States. And then this evil bunch will just walk in and take over.
I want to crop this and just have the slogan, context is for the weak. Just like, dive in, folks. We're doing the Mad Bomb story. Like, if you need a recap, just read the earlier issue. God damn it.
And then,
eating up real estate here.
A little belatedly, they both notice the Cap's shield is gone.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, he's been awake for 3 or 4 panels now, but it took him that long. And Falcon has to point it out to him. Cap, your left hand, it's free. Your shield is gone. They've taken your shield.
Oh,
Cap says, "Great day in the morning. You're right. One of those kill crazy kooks must be using it in the Derby," and now he's really upset.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
And then we see the kill Derby, now who are these people who were cheering? Are they all, I suppose they're all elites? How many elites do they have in this place?
I don't think they're elites. I think they'd be like the sort of bourgeoisie stand-ins, or the sort of pliant middle class, or whatever this future society is going to be, bread and circuses type situation. Mm-hmm. But this is where I was wondering about how cut off they are and how long they've all been part of this society, because there's a lot of people. And I was wondering if have they been on a parallel track since before World War II or something, since the business plot? I don't know. Has this been a version of America that's been sort of bubbling away all this time? It doesn't make sense to me that this is a recent development.
Maybe they built this underground bunker before this was even part of the U.S.
Well, I don't know.
It's like the 1700s. They went out into French territory, fought some Indians, and dug this bunker. I don't think so.
I couldn't possibly comment, but it seems like almost another world, a world within a world, and with Kirby's DC work, we noted that there was a couple of examples of miniaturized worlds or contained worlds, or like whenever Darkseid got involved, you had a sort of warping of reality, and that could create an alternate sort of version of Earth that happened to be upon Earth. So I thought there was something similar happening here. He's just going, this society exists here, and they've been there for a long time. So hence so many of them. I don't see these people coming here and then traveling back to some major metropolitan city around the coast and go back to their 9 to 5 on the Monday morning. Oh yeah, how's Kill Derby? The first rule of Kill Derby is don't talk about Kill Derby.
So I thought it was kind of an interesting twist that Cap and Falcon weren't immediately put into the Kill Derby, that they were gassed, locked up, and Cap's shield taken. But then when we get to the Kill Derby, Cheer Chadwick is upset that Cap and Falcon aren't there, and since she's one of the elites, she can say, we're just going to cancel the Kill Derby unless they participate. So one of the people there radios to Tinkerbell that we got to have those two. And Cap and Falcon are also thinking, it's better than just sitting in the cell. We can get out and maybe accomplish something. So, and this is the point where Cap is kind of losing some confidence, because Falcon says, if those idiots want to die for a pot of gold, that's their affair. We'll go after your shield and get it back with honor. Cap says, do you think we can, Falcon? Do you think we can? And Falcon, yes, because our standards are high, because we're fair and able in battle. And they shake hands, and Cap says, you can certainly make a bleak situation look brighter. Thanks, Falcon. Yeah.
When they go low, we go high.
So, I didn't quite buy that Cap's confidence would have dropped that low, but I think it's a moment to show, the equal partnership here, and that Falcon can buck up Cap as much as the opposite might be true, too.
Yeah, I kind of like the interpretation of the scene being Falcon's like, oh, Whitey needs some confidence again. Oh God, okay, fine. God, so self-pity. Look, if I actually tell him to get over himself and just do the job, he'll start crying. All right, I'll give him some inspiring speech. Ugh. It is something of a genre trope, the black character with, trove of wisdom to share, the white protagonist. So I kind of like the alternative reading that Falcon's just like, I need him to be up and about. Look, come along. Look, here's what you need to do. Again, I think Kirby's aware of the sort of racist spectacle of the black sidekick, and you're correct. There's a lot of more attention being paid to Falcon as a character. Mm-hmm. This idea of, trying to inspire the white protagonist to do what needs to be done because he's the only one who can do it. That's not new, and it's he's walking that line here, And tropes are tropes for a reason, I guess. But there's I kind of wish the scene had been like Falcon, like, all right, well, I'm going to go do it. You can come if you want. Just get over yourself.
Yeah, and another way that Falcon is not a sidekick. I mean, thematically, they don't fit together quite. I mean, if he were the Eagle, it would make sense to be a sidekick of Captain America, but he's a Falcon, which is not our national bird. He's like his own theme, aside from the patriotic one.
There is a Marvel character called American Eagle, who is a Native American man. And I've always been interested in him ever since his appearance in Thunderbolts, where he, like one of the recent, well, I say recent, it was like over a decade ago. There was a revamp of him as a, he was basically just a biker dude. But he was a very interesting character, and I kind of would have liked to see him maybe be in a book with Captain America as a sort of, well, you can be a symbol for America, but what about indigenous people in America? How are you a symbol for us? What do you represent to us? And this is where he could be sort of an interesting corollary.
So we get a page of the military again, and the Hound Dog trying to find something under the ground. And in the last panel of the page, the guy operating the Hound Dog is radioing in, "Hound Dog to base, I've got a bogey. It's big, it's big." But we can't see what it is that he sees, and we go back to the Kill Derby. Cap and Falcon are skateboarding in with, I guess, Tinkerbell, and looking for Cap's shield, of course. We even get a panel about how to control the skateboards. The speed can be regulated by pressing these squares with your toe. There are 3 squares at the head of the skateboard. These are pretty big skateboards, too.
Yeah, kind of old school.
They seem bigger than normal ones. And so Cheer says, "So you two have overcome your scruples, eh? I look forward to watching you in action." And she talks about how, if you win the Kill Derby, you get access to this pot of gold that the other team is guarding. And she says, "Human greed is the keystone to our success." Which makes sense.
Cheer keeps saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
She keeps, it's like she just keeps blabbing it all out.
And so we see them going up against the other team. And one of the guys has a flamethrower on his back. But before he can shoot flame at them, Tinkerbell... Now, this is an interesting Kirby innovation. The fingertips of her glove, I don't know what happened to her actual fingers in there, but they shoot off the tips of the fingers as these little missiles that blow up the flamethrower. Right while it's still on the guy's back.
That just turns him into a hot streak, and he starts flaming the entire Colosseum space.
Yeah, he's wearing a suit that's fire and heat proof.
Yeah, so he doesn't care. He's leaking flame everywhere, and people are just running into it. She basically made him a Tron. She made him a Tron. And now he's sort of death cycling his way all around them all. That was quite funny, actually. A tactical error on Tinkerbell's part.
So Falcon's trying to go on the offensive, but someone shoots a net into the air that catches him. Cap is able to free him, and they're skating into the fray, fighting some of these people on the other team.
It's important here as well, because the squad dynamics are such that Tinkerbell is obey what I'm the squad leader, do what I tell you. And Falcon breaks rank, and she's going, no, don't do that. And then he gets captured. And then Cap rescues Falcon, and they're like, no, don't do that. Because, the point of the game is that they have to fight as a unit and under her direction. and Captain America and Falcon are just they're trying to help one another. They got a different set of aims, different set of goals. They're just trying to get the shield back. So whatever her strategy is, it's all about sacrificing the men in her team so that they can win the pot of gold at the end and take out their opponents. The Falcon and Cap aren't doing that.
When Cap rescues him, she's saying, "Sentiment will kill you in this place, chum, and you're as good as dead." So, yeah, I mean, you can't afford to look out for anybody but yourself, and anybody who's, hindered in any way, you got to just leave them behind.
There's acceptable human loss built into the game. That's the point. You sacrifice so you can get that pot of gold.
And then a guy comes rolling in, appears, and someone says, "We'll give him a target to aim for, our stand-in." Cap says, "I don't know what a stand-in is, fella, and I don't care either. Clear out." And he punches it, and it turns out it's a mannequin with explosives, and it blows up in Cap's face. And he's knocked out again. It's at least the third time in 2 issues that he's been knocked out.
I mean, it's usually been knockout gas, but yeah, in this case he's actually exploded.
We go back to the surface with the military guys, and they find the Hound Dog. The pilot is gone. The Hound Dog is all beat up. Other guy says, "There's a chance I can activate it, General. I'll need a little time to run a few tests on the Hound Dog." And General Fisk says, "You've got it, mister. I'll make you a colonel if it can give me an accurate probe of these rocks." So they're still working towards trying to find Cap and Falcon, possibly under the ground. He says, "I hope they're still alive." We go back to Cap, who the caption says is barely alive. He's waking up, and immediately there's this big rotor coming at him and the rest of the team, which Falcon saves them from. He has this big metal bar that he rams into the machine with the rotor.
Yeah.
And finally they encounter the guy who has Cap's shield.
Final boss.
Right. And so that's where we leave this issue. Cap is charging the guy. Action comes, but in a totally unexpected way. Next issue, read "The Rocks Are Burning." Don't miss it. Okay. Well, turn the page. We're in the next issue. No page number on this cover.
Oh, that's really...
The cover says, "This way for action," with an arrow pointing at Cap's shoulder. He says, "I found an army of underground killers, and I've got to stop them alone," which is not quite accurate to the story, but...
Again, Falcon's like, what am I, chopped liver? Do you note that Red Wing isn't on his shoulder in this cover image?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's the only
Red
place
Wings.
we see Falcon on this cover. The main image is just Cap.
Correct.
With
On
his
his own,
shield
yeah.
and a bunch of missiles being shot around him.
Through his legs.
Yeah.
Which is frankly...
Well, as we see in this issue, Cap can really spread his legs. And I noticed this issue is lettered by John Costanza, and I don't know, this lettering really brings back some old feelings of reading Marvel Comics in the 70s.
Oh, how so?
Costanza did a lot of lettering
I see.
in the early era of me reading Marvel Comics. I think my brother and I started really buying Marvels in about 1978, and in those, the late 70s, early 80s, there was a lot of Costanza lettering.
Well, I also know as well that this is written, drawn, and edited by Jack Kirby.
Well, yeah,
So
that's another aspect of Marvel at this time, the writer-editor, which was a bad idea because you really need a different person to edit what the writer's doing. And I remember reading a Spider-Man issue from around this time where there were some kind of holes in what was going on. Like, this really could have used a different person as editor rather than Len Wein writing and editing.
This This has Marv Wolfman listed as executive editor, so I think there's some oversight here. But yeah, it's Kirby presumably reviewing the coloring and inking and the lettering and all the rest of it. Like, he's actually getting the opportunity to make some changes before publication, which is interesting.
Yeah. So Cap is going up against the guy with his shield. Of course, the guy doesn't want to let go of it. You know, Cap's punching him. Cap's trying to grab the shield out of his hand. Cap gets zapped with an electric mace. Falcon tries to say, the cat's a pro. He's armed. He's tricky. Listen, Cap. And Cap is really stubborn. No, I'm going to get my shield. And the crowd starts chanting, kill, kill, kill. I guess they're directing that at Cap. They want him to kill the guy who's got his shield.
Well, he's kind of on the ropes at this point. So I mean, I think, they know someone's going to get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the guy with the shield says, okay, you can have it, and pitches it at Cap. And Cap thinks, his change of mind came a little too quickly, too suddenly. And so he lets the shield miss him, go under his legs. Yeah, look how far he's got his legs stretched apart. I think he's got some Mr. Fantastic powers going on here.
Yeah. He's got his Pilates. He's got Pilates.
And he says, I forgot to mention this, friend, but my shield is constructed in a manner that causes a boomerang effect. And the shield goes straight back at the guy, and there's an explosion. And it turns out there was an explosive stuck to the shield. I don't know why that wouldn't mess up its flying trajectory. But the guy was intending to blow up Cap, but instead he got blown up himself. Blown up real good. SCTV reference. I keep bringing that up every time there's an explosion. It came up in Law of Equivalent Exchange, too. Cap tries to tell the crowd, he lectures the crowd, basically. You've just seen a man die, a man who lived by your rules, and if his life means nothing, what in blazes is the meaning of your own? What kind of jungle world are you building? What kind of cause are you serving? I doubt if that would have any effect on the crowd, but, I think it's more directed at the reader.
Yeah.
To think about what's going on here and the dynamics of it.
I kind of feel like I'm reading a tweet by a popular liberal on Twitter. Listen to me, I've got things to say. Oh, great.
So now the soldiers, the U.S. Army on the surface, they're shooting flames at the rocks. And not quite. So, a flight of helicopters appears and sets the nearby cliffs aflame. The hot blaze is of a chemical nature that affects a quick penetration of the rock surface. And Fist says the traitors must be in this area, somewhere in those cliffs. And so they're flaming away, and then they start to see smoke coming up from underground through some holes in the ground. And so, does it mean that there are corridors down there, or is it just a series of hollow caves with no people down there? And then there's an explosion. The flame ignited something. So, and then it knocks off the door to the installation, which was just, a big bunch of rock, camouflaged. So, they found the underground bunker, and now we see suddenly a bunch of troops in big machines who are all shooting come storming in. There's nobody to shoot at yet. They didn't get in the bunker yet.
Yeah, I don't know if they're trying to clear the way or whatever, but yeah, it's they're literally shooting at rocks. So it's like the flame was like chemically treating the rock and almost like corrosively burrowing down.
I guess.
And then when it encountered a pocket of air, it blew up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably it. So, in pursuit of Cap's shield, they've ended up winning the kill derby. And, of course, the crowd didn't care about Cap's speech. They're saying, cut the speeches, you two. You've won the pot of gold. Take it and split. We didn't come here for gold or to play a mad game like the Kill Derby. And their team members say, "Are you creeps for real? You're forfeiting the game?" Whoops. Tinkerbell says, "You're forgetting the team. We risked our necks for that gold. We aim to collect it." Cheer is there, says, "Silence. I don't know who you two are, and I don't care."
So she doesn't know
She
who
doesn't
they
know
are.
who they
she
are.
doesn't know who Captain America is. We know this now.
Yeah, Falcon could be forgiven, I suppose. He's newer, but come on. I mean, you've never seen war footage from the 40s in the Marvel Universe.
No, like, if she's been raised by the fascists, she probably hasn't. She's probably been homeschooled to believe a completely different version of events.
Probably. So, anyway, she's saying, to survive in the new society, you must stay in line, take your winnings, and keep your mouth shut. But Cap's like, "You don't understand. Time is running out for your elite and its followers."
I mean, no, sorry, we need to take a moment here. Cap has to introduce a bit of casual sexism into this dialogue, because he's like, "Hard words from such a lovely girl, cheer Chadwick." As long as we know she's physically attractive, while also being a fascist. Dear God, yeah. She'd be a TikTok girl posing with her many rifles if she was alive today. I believe in God and the gun.
So the crowd turns against Falcon and Cap, and so do their teammates, and it's just the two of them against everybody. But then they start to hear explosions because the U.S. Army is coming in.
Yeah, for once.
And Cap and Falcon figure out that that's what's happened. Been discovered by the Army. And we got a full-page panel of Cap and Falcon caught in the mob scene. Everybody's trying to get out now. They're in danger of being crushed. And then in the next panel, Falcon takes Cap's hand and pulls him out as they fly out and fly up, I guess it's an elevator shaft.
Yeah.
And we see the Army coming in. They're shooting at the Conehead soldiers. And they bring in this is one of the Conehead soldiers' machines that's shooting at them, but it destroys the U.S. Army's machine, and it's really, I guess they break it with sound waves, and the soldiers are all holding their ears.
Yep.
But Falcon and Cap come in, and they help out as you would expect them to.
He shoots at the exact point at the sound cannon that destroys it with a pistol, which is a great little detail. Yeah. It's like, sure, whatever, Jack.
And another full-page panel with Cap holding his shield with the wreckage of the Conehead soldiers' machine flaming away behind him and Kirby dotting away behind him.
Yes. These full page.
Yeah, if you had any doubt who drew this,
exactly. These full page pieces of art, I can see a line of descent between Kirby and Mike Allred, because the cleaner, a larger canvas for Kirby is the sort of panel that Mike Allred specializes in. That's sort of really tight, but nicely detailed, very strongly lined, particularly around the facial expressions. That's his focus. So I'm imagining a young Mike Allred reading these issues and going, I've found my style.
So then we see the Army streaming in around Cap, and they kind of get caught up with each other here. But of course they haven't found the Mad Bomb, the Big Daddy Mad Bomb. And so the underground bunker is done for, but of course there's some sort of underground rail conveyance that's...
Don't say it yet. Don't say it. Because the famous Underground Railroad, which we don't want to apply here, because that was about the escaping of slaves.
Right. Well, I said rail conveyance.
You did. Thank you for doing that.
It didn't even occur to me, but yeah, you're right. But
they don't get to appropriate that.
But yeah, we see
they have
Cheer.
A literal underground, system of between all sorts of underground bunkers with various other fascist enclaves.
Cheer and her father are escaping, and yeah, she says, "I know they're spies. They're searching for the mad bomb." He says, "It doesn't matter, my dear. The Big Daddy mad bomb is safely planted where they'll never find it. And there it shall remain, primed and ready to do its job for the new society on the takeover day, the day that America's outmoded constitution is thrown on the scrap heap. That will be neat for us, Papa. When will it happen? At a most memorable time, my sweet. On the very day of this country's bicentennial, the mad bomb will go off and end its existence."
All right, so I haven't read this storyline before. I don't know where the story is going to end. But given the continuing references to the Bicentennial, what national landmark do you think the Mad Bomb is in? Because that's where I think we're going.
Like the Liberty Bell or
Liberty Bell was the first thing I thought of, but I think that's
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty, obvious. Rushmore. Yeah,
the Lincoln Memorial.
Lincoln Memorial. Good. I'm trying to think of a large object because we were shown an image of the Mad Bomb before, and it's big. Like, it's a big thing. So I'm trying to anticipate where they could put that. The Liberty Bell strikes me as being not big enough and also extremely accessible to the public.
And I'm wondering if so. The next issue seems to be a side story. Haven't read it yet. But next issue is 198, and I wonder if he's planning to wrap this up in issue 200, which kind of by coincidence lands in the cover. It would be the cover date of August 76, so it would come out maybe May or June, just right before the Bicentennial. It all lines up nicely.
I think you are correct. I'm not reading. I've just skipped ahead quickly, and I believe you're correct. I think it's issue 200.
Okay.
I just saw the cover, so I think that's where we're aiming. I love these. Oh
yeah.
It's just so good, and I'm frankly amazed that it's not discussed more. I know people in the know talk about the Mad Bomb as a good Captain America storyline, but I think this is up there with. Like, this should be iconic, like Days of Future Past, or
some of the Mr. Miracle stuff.
War, Mr. Miracle, yeah. Oh, but no, I'm talking generally in Marvel.
Okay, like, I'm thinking more like the Kirby stuff we've read so far.
Oh yeah,
the post, first, the Marvel stuff he did with Stan Lee. Everything we picked up after that, but yeah, I think I enjoyed this the most I have since some of the early Mr. Miracle stuff.
No, I agree, but I also think it stands on its own within the wider Marvel context as a great Marvel book. So yeah, I'm just interested that I haven't really heard it talked about in those terms.
Yeah.
Perhaps because it has uncomfortable truths.
I mean, it feels like it has a lot more kind of substance to it than a lot of other Marvel stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is good.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, we'll pick this up again with the next 2 or 3 issues in a future episode and keep going. I mean, I think there's still a lot of ground to cover with the Kirby second run at Marvel stuff. There's several other books he worked on, so this is going to take us a while. The issues we discussed in this episode are included in the collection Captain America and the Falcon, Mad Bomb, published by Marvel. Emmet has recently had an essay included in the book Waxing and Waning, Essays on Moon Knight, published by Sequard. If you're enjoying our comics discussion every week, consider supporting this podcast by joining us on Patreon at patreon.com/deconcomics. And go to deconstructingcomics.com to connect to us on what used to be Twitter, on Facebook, where we have both a page and a group, or on YouTube. Via our site, you can also shop on Amazon to support the show and find links to subscribe to the podcast. You can comment on any episode there or drop us a line at mail@deconstructingcomics.com. That's also the address for submitting your own comics work for possible inclusion in our spin-off podcast, Critiquing Comics. Our theme is by J.B. Anderton. Next week, we take a break for the holidays, and you'll hear the next installment of our former Patreon show, Tim Catches Up with the MCU, in which Mulele and I discuss Avengers Infinity War. Till then, this is Tim, and thanks for listening to Deconstructing Comics.